Some battles with neighbors start small, a comment here, a warning there, but when you live in an HOA community, even turning up your favorite song can become a war. That's exactly what happened to me when Karen, the queen of complaints on our street, decided my music was destroying the neighborhood. What she didn't realize was that the situation was about to spiral far beyond her control, because I'm the mayor's son. Before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more real-life HOA revenge stories that will leave you speechless. It all started on a warm Saturday afternoon. I had my speakers set up in the backyard, playing some classic rock while grilling for a few friends. It wasn't blasting, just enough for us to enjoy. But if you've ever lived near Karen, you know how little it takes to set her off. Within 15 minutes, I saw her storming across the street, arms flailing like she was leading a parade. She marched right into my yard without knocking, scowling at everyone like we'd personally ruined her life. "Turn that racket down this instant," she barked. "This is a respectable neighborhood, not a nightclub." I stayed calm. "Karen, it's the middle of the day. It's not even that loud. We're just hanging out." She scoffed. "Middle of the day or not, I'll have the HOA fine you. In fact, I'll have them ban you from hosting parties altogether." My friends tried to ignore her, but the tension was thick. I knew Karen well enough to realize she wasn't bluffing. She had connections with the HOA board and loved flexing her power. Within an hour, I received an official-looking notice slipped into my mailbox: "Cease all outdoor music immediately. Violations will result in fines and disciplinary action." Karen was grinning when she walked back home, clearly pleased with herself. But here's what she didn't know: my dad is the mayor. And while I don't throw his title around lightly, I also wasn't about to let some HOA tyrant control whether I could play a song in my own backyard. The next day, I received another notice: $250 fine for noise violation. Karen was standing on her porch watching me read it, smirking like she'd won a prize. She had no clue she'd just picked a fight she couldn't possibly win. I decided it was time to push back, and this time, I wasn't going to hold anything back. The next morning, I woke up early, determined not to let Karen bully me any longer. I went outside to grab the newspaper, and sure enough, she was already out front watering her lawn. She shot me a smug smile and said loudly enough for the entire block to hear, "Hope you enjoyed your last night of noise. The HOA has already scheduled an emergency hearing." I clenched my jaw but didn't answer. Instead, I made a quick phone call to my father, who wasn't just my dad, he was the mayor of the city. "Dad, I think Karen is about to find out who she's really dealing with," I said calmly. He chuckled on the other end. "I'll make sure the right people are at that meeting. Don't lose your cool." When the HOA hearing rolled around, Karen strutted in like she owned the place, dragging along a folder stuffed with printed complaints she had collected. The board members, some of whom looked more annoyed at her than at me, sat stiffly behind the long wooden table. Karen stood tall, glaring at me with that familiar grin of victory. "This boy has no respect for the community," she declared. "He blasts his music at all hours, and I demand he face penalties and removal if necessary. We can't allow noise pollution to ruin our neighborhood." The board murmured quietly, looking over her complaints. Then the chairman nodded. "Let's hear from the accused. Do you have anything to say in your defense?" That's when the door opened, and my father walked in. Karen's face froze. The board members immediately stood up. "Mr. Mayor, what an honor, what brings you here?" Karen blinked, looking between me and him. "Wait. Mayor Johnson is your father?" she stammered. I smiled calmly. "Yes, Karen. You've been harassing the mayor's son over my personal music practice." Music, by the way, was never above the legal noise limit. My father stepped forward, his presence filling the room. "I've looked into the complaints. Not only is my son well within his rights, but Karen here has filed more than 20 false or exaggerated complaints against several neighbors, not just him." The board gasped. Karen's jaw dropped. The chairman cleared his throat. "Karen, this is a serious abuse of HOA procedure. Do you have anything to say for yourself?" Karen scrambled. I just wanted some peace. He's disruptive. I didn't mean to, but before she could finish, my father raised his hand. You wanted power, not peace. You tried to bully my son because you thought you could. But you forgot something. I protect this city, and that includes its honest residents. If you continue this behavior, I'll be forced to look into your HOA leadership role as well. The room went silent. Karen slumped into her chair, humiliated. From that day forward, Karen avoided me like the plague. She no longer filed complaints, no longer sneered when I practiced guitar, and no longer played her little power games around the block. The HOA board, embarrassed that they let her antics go unchecked for so long, issued me a written apology for the unnecessary stress. But the best part? 2 weeks later, the city held its annual neighborhood festival. I was invited to perform live music on the main stage, by the mayor himself. Karen had to sit in the front row, watching me perform, while the whole community cheered. Her face was red as a tomato, and she couldn't leave without making it obvious she'd been defeated. And in that moment, as I strummed the final chord, I realized something. Sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply standing tall, letting the truth shine, and watching the bully shrink under the weight of their own arrogance. Karen wanted me silenced. Instead, she gave me a louder stage than I ever could have imagined. Underestimate the person you're trying to bully. You don't know who's standing behind them, or how quickly your smug laugh can turn into stunned silence.